Hi, everybody. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the Beach Boys song, Sloop John B. Okay, excellent. So you know what I'm talking about. Well, this story is not about sailing around Cape Town, and there is no Uncle John. There is a boat, and it was definitely the worst trip I have ever been on. This is the decade anniversary of, I guess, what we would call a love disaster. So, at the time, I was beginning something that I was pretty sure was going to blow up in my face. Went for it. This was an intercontinental love affair from Chicago, Illinois to Melbourne, Australia, with a dude I had spent all of probably about 9 hours total with. Yes. December, around Christmas time, I was working at a domestic violence agency, so had about 10 days off all year, saved up, made about, $3 an hour. I was going for it. This was going to be love. So, get on the flight. Chicago to LA to Melbourne to Adelaide. And yet when I got off the flight in LA, I no longer had my passport. The guys I'd been sitting in between had rushed me through my usual Virgo plane ritual of patting myself down to make sure I knew where my passport and tickets and wallet were. And so I wound up in LA, which is also a city of extreme heartbreak to me. Everything smelled like urine. I was crying in the middle of the airport, wound up staying at a discounted rate at a Holiday Inn by the airport for 4 days of my already very short vacation that was for true love. Rented a Mustang, tried to get a new passport. Eventually, they found my passport. It was great. I was off. I'm skipping over all of the tears and sobbing phone calls because we only have 5 minutes, people. So, LA to Melbourne to Adelaide. Adelaide is kind of the middle of nowhere. Australia is full of nowhere. So Adelaide actually to them is pretty good. It's big time. No disrespect to Australians or small towns anywhere. Am I forgetting to mention that this extremely tall and skinny, vain dude that I'm going down to, make a love connection with, has invited me to his family's big Christmas ritual, where he goes boating on a lake with his boys from back in the day, none of whom want to see him happy or with ladies. We're hanging out with his various combinations of parents and grandparents, none of whom he likes or spends time with. So here I am, right off the plane, dehydrated for many days of crying, rushed into the bosom of somebody else's holiday. And with me, I brought all the best luck in the world, as usual. The water in the lake had actually blown out. Literally, half the water in the lake had blown out right as I got there. So, this giant Australian, me, a couple of other guys who really are not pleased to see me intrude on their boys' sailing ritual, hang out at this guy's grandma's house, single wooden beds for everybody, just waiting and hoping that the wind and the water will participate and we can just get this over with. Well, I don't even know how to tell you. There is a ship log, because this is also the last voyage of the Red Emma, for reals. It's the last voyage. While we're waiting to get in the boat and get on the lake, we all write things. So I do what I'm told, which is write sort of the story of where we are right now. So I write about one of the friends being abrasive, the other friend talking about chocolate cake. I make some joke about how I'm glad to be here, and etc. So Tim, giant Australian, walks in, dead face, saying, everybody saw what you wrote. Everybody saw what you wrote. And I don't even remember, again, this is a haze, it's a decade ago, it was a very poor decision that I knew was going to blow up in my face, and luckily it is happening from the start. Alright, so there's crying, there's a boat, there's a disaster, my camera gets lost. Oh, geez, we go to all these family members' house, it's clear he doesn't even know any of them, is showing me off. We have a car ride from Adelaide to Melbourne, which is like a 14-hour silent car ride of death. The highlight of this entire story is when visiting his father and his stepmother and his step-siblings, who Waldorf school, who are lovely people, who are generous to me when they should not be. They also have a goat. And so, the high point is, Tim goes out to play with the goat, to show off, probably to burn up some tension from this disastrous thing. The goat slips his chain, starts bucking and running. Giant, scrawny, red-headed, vain Australian chasing goat. nearly gets bucked many times, particularly in the area that you always hope someone gets a butt in. And so I will say, out of all of this love disaster, it has given me one of my happiest happy places that you go to in your mind. Of a giant jerk who breaks your heart in Australia, taking all your vacation time and money, getting bucked by a goat. Thank you.